Ahoy, ahoy! Welcome to a brand new edition of the Ramble on Reactions. Woo! With me across cyberspace, across the great city of Columbus, it's handsome Dan Nye.
Hey, that's me across the city of Columbus. Is clever Eric Muller.
That's me.
It's been so long.
I know.
We have to be rotten. We have to be bad people again, and we have to spoil things because
Woo!
it's one of those things that's clearly that's what we have to do. It's our moral imperative, as one of the characters said in what was it? Right. Real Genius. Real Genius. I just remembered. My brain. Clearly, you saw this work.
It's been nothing but mush for the past couple months.
Well, so this is it getting, and we'll get into this more in the other episode because we're going to do two tonight. But this is it. This is me getting out of the mush. This is me being like, oh no, it's okay. I can do things. I can be a functioning member of society again.
And this is me being Hootie and the Blowfish singing, "Oh, hold my hand," and I'm extending the hand to your dance.
And then I responded with, "Oh, no, no,
or Darius Rucker.
Well, I'm glad for some reason. So it was that you're referencing this obscure tweet that I decided to do. A guy who reviewed, I'm pretty sure he interviewed me for a small movie project I did years and years and years ago, and I followed him on Twitter. But one day he was just tweeting out like all these celebrity breakup couples, and one of them was Darius Rucker, and then I just made a Hootie pun, and then so many of my other friends just jumped in and started making Hootie puns, and it was everything I could have asked for.
That's right.
That's how I know I have a good group of friends.
With the world the way it is right now, sometimes all you need is just a good Hootie and the Blowfish puns.
Speaking of things that make your heart happy, segues make my heart happy. But so if you're clicking on this, we're also putting out another thing probably today because I know myself, and I'm going to put this both out on one day. That'll be the regular episode where we talk about like state of
everything
movies,
else,
things, everything else. We'll do other mini rottens, but we really, really, really wanted to talk about Palm Springs.
Yay!
So you, and this is a rotten, so full spoilers.
Yes,
spoil the movie.
We're going to spoil it rotten for you. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, stop listening now.
I mean, the interesting thing about this is like, I am honestly right now, I don't feel the need to even shoot a regular review. You know what I mean? Like everyone has so much more free time. There's no big openings for anything so it's not like, hey, you got it. There's a buffer of 3 weeks.
We got to rush to get our Tenet review out.
Yes. Or you can just follow Ben Meckler, who's been fake spoiling Tenet for weeks now, and it's kind of fun to read through, where he's saying, like, there's an exclusive viewing on, like, Christopher Nolan's private yacht, and, like, nobody's wearing... It's just... He tells stories, and it's very funny. I would highly recommend it to check it out. But anyway, Palm Springs, I didn't really know... So, I watched the trailer before this movie, and my fiance, like... She likes doing that because she likes knowing whether or not she's going to like the movie. But then as soon as she watches the trailer, she goes, I don't need to watch the movie. I know what it's about. And I'm like, but you didn't want to watch it before you watched the trailer. What's happening? And then like an hour later, she's like, I take it back. We can go ahead and watch it. So we did. And I was very happy she acquiesced because then I would have had to try to like fit it in. And we'll talk. You'll see on the other video where a movie I did fit in to watch today. But I did not know much before watching that trailer. I think I watched the trailer twice.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer. All I knew was Andy Samberg, Groundhog Day, and the mom from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, which is...
Sign me up. I'm interested.
That's the trailer. That's really all you need to know. And I do like how we're getting... I mean, it's spoilers. We could go into the plot, but that's literally... You just described the plot.
Yeah, right. It's simple. It's not a complex time travel. It's literally Andy Samberg is living the same day for God knows how long, and then accidentally he gets other people involved too, so these start experiencing the same day over and over again.
I was going to say one of them was purposeful and really funny, and the other one was accidentally. I do like, before we get too far though, I do like how we're getting a new subgenre of Groundhog Day type films, where
Mm-hmm.
you got Edge of Tomorrow, and now you have Palm Springs, and
Happy Death Day to You.
yeah, well, both of them, right?
Yeah, I heard the second one is more of the comedy than the first one's like the traditional horror. So
Man, well, that has been on like my, the weird ancillary list you have in your head, like, I'll watch it if I ever get
yeah.
time to get to it. I wanted to see those movies because I've heard that about them. So you have Groundhog Day, which is your traditional comedy,
Mm-hmm.
very very late 80s 90s movie. It has that kind of nostalgic feel now. You have Edge of Tomorrow, which is done in an action sci-fi way, and you have this, which was what would you put, solid dramedy for parts of it. You can't go
Yeah.
straight comedy with this.
It's the independent comedy version of Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. There isn't like there's some effects, but there's nothing like
Yeah.
it was a Lonely Island production, which was nice to see.
Like literally, if we still had theaters and could go to theaters, this would be considered an indie darling.
Sure, it would. I think this is a Hulu production, though. I don't know if this is one of those things that like the Lovebirds that got like sold to Netflix when it couldn't
Mm-hmm.
be released. I don't think it's one of those. I think this was always intended to be a Hulu release.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um, but yeah, it's especially when you don't know kind of how this movie is going to start and how it's going to start going. Um, it's interesting to see they do a really good job of relationship building in this movie
Yes.
that I really enjoyed. Um, and I saw the twist with our lead and then the groom. I actually kind of called that, and I'm like, I have a hunch I know what's going to happen here, and then it happened like 5 minutes later. Because that was something Bree said. She was like, "Oh, there's somebody in the shower," and I'm like, "Oh, good catch." And then I had
Ooh.
my suspicion who it was. Did you watch it with Sarah, or was it just you?
Just me. She had no interest in watching it.
Oh, it's sad. It's not. That's another thing I do want to mention is you. I love seeing Andy Samberg like just strip down and like really get to emotional scenes because
Yeah.
he's amazing comedic and slapstick, but like actually like stopping and being like, here's some raw emotion for you.
Yeah, and you get that in this. You get the Sandberg Raw.
It sounds like a special I don't want to eat at a restaurant.
I don't know. I'm gonna open up a restaurant just so I can make that happen for you, buddy.
Ew. So what you
It'll have
you
a vegan It'll be a vegan option.
that would be the Sandberg Raw Light.
Yeah.
Okay. Then where were you going with it? You were very excited about this. What excites
Yeah.
you most about this film?
Well, what I liked about it is, again, I knew bare minimum going into it, and I liked how, again, it takes, the trope of, someone, reliving the same day over and over again. But what I liked about this time is first you have Andy Samberg, who, within 5 minutes, you can figure it out. He's been here before. He's done all this before. And then that puts the focus on the female lead, Christian Maloney.
I can pull it up.
You know me and pronouncing names. It's
Yes.
horrible.
Yeah, Christian. Is it Christian? Kristen Milotti.
Kristen Milani. Okay, so yeah, so you start seeing it from her point of view, and then it becomes her story about how she's stuck now in this hell of having to relive the same day over and over again, and unfortunately facing one of her biggest mistakes over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you're getting like there was a really well done. I think they cut back and forth, but it looks like it could have been a one shot where Andy Samberg is like going through all these people and he kind of knows how they move.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of those things where again that's like in the first 5 minutes, and that's when I was like, okay, he's been here before.
Yeah, it's a great visual cue for that.
Yes.
And then there's more payoff when you come to like later on when he's like, oh, we slept together hundreds of times or blah blah blah. Like I feel like there isn't a moment in this movie that's like there's not a setup and payoff where the foreshadowing is very well done. And especially for a movie that like when you get into those, like he even says, and it's the right amount of meta humor for me as well, where he's like, we're in one of those infinite time loop things, and she goes, one of those things, like it's just at this point a kind of commonplace thing for our everyday lives. So it's interesting that they had a more unique take on it, and because like even to some extent, I would say Groundhog Day is not really grounded in reality because you're looking at one person and the self-improvement they ultimately have to do to get out of it. But this one is like dealing with actual relationships that she's having with people there. Like you in Groundhog Day, it's a fish out of water story. Like
Yeah.
it's Bill Murray in a place he's not used to, and then he becomes used to it, and then he grows as a person. Whereas this is like, it's interesting that she comes in halfway through it, and he's already so ingrained. Niles is already so ingrained with everyone there, and he knows everything about everyone there. So there's no like, you're already catching him mid character arc, and then you get her to, I should get her Sarah. Is Sarah her character's name?
Yeah,
Sarah. And then Sarah is already like, she has to kind of catch up, and once she gets to his speed, like she decides to change things as well, which is why you get like they're able to again kind of meta wise attack these beats that everyone thinks that they would come to.
Yeah, no, this is a great comparison to Groundhog Day because with that, you're following Bill through his lows, and then you see him start going through this where, it's his journey of personal growth. And then finally at the end, where he finally achieves his personal growth, then he's able to move on into the next day. Well, on this one, you're getting like this two different stories intertwined where you're already Sandberg in the middle, and we haven't seen Sarah's. You haven't seen her pre. You only seen her when you first introduced to her. It's literally her intro to this whole world, more or less, where we don't know her backstory. That comes later in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Which, it's sad. It's a very, like, maybe
like I remember, like when the twist comes where you find out she slept with her sister's fiance the day before the wedding. I was just like, oh, that's just disappointing. Like it was like 37-year-old Eric, like, that's just disappointing. But I'm disappointed in you, movie Sarah.
It's one of those things too where it's like, it's something you kind of forget about during the first like 2/3 of that movie before you get to that. And you could argue that that's the emotional climax of the film.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When they reveal that, because you forget that like her family thinks she's this fuck up and she's this she drinks too much and blah 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 blah, and so I feel like this is also something I've only watched it the once. I had my friend on Twitter, Yusuf. He said he's watched it like 4 or 5 times already, and I'm imagining this when you go back. You're going
to pick
up
on more things.
You're going to pick up on a lot more. So her reactions on that first day, then when you go back and you watch the movie, knowing like, and she was saying like, even in the very beginning, she's like, she has a glass of wine like half full, and she asked the bartender, she's like, "You really know what we're doing here, right? Like you can fill it up more." And the bartender's like, "It's not good wine." She's like, "I don't care." Like you see why she's making these choices.
Yeah.
So. And it's a little interesting because you could watch it from so many different points of view, and I like that. I actually do like that they do that in 2 separate times. When at the one point where she jumps in front of the bus, and they show Niles, and then they show her later on what happened, and there's another point where they split up and they show them in different, like what they're doing in those timelines.
Or like when she's like driving all the way home and she's like staying up, and then she finally passes out on the couch. Wakes up back in the bed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then the funny story about how he made it all the way to what do you say, like Ecuador or something?
Yep.
He took a lot of crystal meth.
Yeah, he tried crystal meth for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And there's a.
I was gonna say, I mean, that's the other thing I liked is like, because with Groundhog Day, when Bill Murray is just like, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever I want. It's just like the stuff you'd imagine a 40 guy in his 40s would do. He's like, I'm going to try to just rob this. I'm going to try to screw whatever I can. I don't care. But with Andy Samberg's character, it's like, he's like, no, I'm going to try all the craziest things I've always wanted to try. And also I love the little thing where he's just like, I also found a safe house. Like the family that is not there. So that's where he's like, if I just need to get away, this is where I come.
And it's interesting too, because you have a little bit of that with him, and then he's saying he slept with everybody, and then he experiments, and then he dupes her on the dad one, where it's like, what are we doing here? Like,
I almost wish that one was true because I thought that was hilarious.
It was really funny.
I like when he slept with the one cruiser. He goes, and there you go.
Yeah. he sleeps with him. He's like, he's a really nice guy. Like,
guy.
it's just and I feel like that too, there's something to be said, at least for what type of personalities react in what ways, to where
Mhm.
once Sarah joins him, he's already so defeated and he's like, I'm stuck here. He doesn't go like Bill Murray. Bill Murray goes on a power trip at one point where he goes, I think I'm God. And Niles is
No,
just
he
like,
doesn't say I'm God. I'm a God.
yes, yes. But then Niles is just like, I'm stuck doing this forever. I might as nothing matters, and he gets super nihilist. Like, and
Yes. Oh,
you go backwards, and then you kind of see how he got there. And then even the little end tag with J.K. Simmons, where it's
yeah.
like,
Roy, who
mhm.
Andy Sam Niles forcefully brought into it. Who I love that storyline of like he just shows up periodically to kill him.
Yeah, really funny. That's probably the most like over the top slapsticky moment in the movie that happens very early when he gets shot with a bow and arrow.
And it's just J.K. Simmons like and all wearing all black, just like he's in the military, just carrying a bow, tracking him
Mhm.
down.
But those are then you have the same rules for Groundhog Day, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
the pain is still real, but the day will always reset. You just have to die.
Yep.
So, I mean, I like how Sarah was the one to actually like shake Roy out of that the homicidal rage that he had been in.
Well, yeah, because she's the one who inflicted pain onto Roy. So Roy's like, oh, so this is how it feels, which is the great payoff because then you get that Roy scene towards
That's
the start of the third act where he wants, I don't know, but it's literally where Niles finally gets kicked in the right direction. But it's like, no, this is a great day for me.
no,
I got
it's definitely in the third act because you
yeah,
don't. That's like a conclusion of that arc.
yeah,
Um,
where he's just like, yeah, he tells him, he's like, this is a great day. I got my kids here. I got my beautiful wife. You see him like cooking like a roast or something. He's like all excited for that. And you see him just like a totally normal dude.
you have to go find your Irvine.
Yeah. And I love hey, can you just do me a favor and just kill me now? I don't want to deal with traffic.
Yeah, you kill me one more time. I think that's too. It's like so pragmatic in some. This movie, it's just like it's charming. It's pragmatic. Like it has, for a very unrealistic premise, it has a very realistic way of dealing with it.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. Like you said earlier with Groundhog Day being the traditional comedy, it's literally the fish out of water. It's like Bill Murray is doing exactly what you expect Bill Murray to do in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
While in this, what Sarah and Niles are doing is more, you could literally see yourself doing that, where it's like,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm going to practice this great dance routine and go into this biker bar. I'm going to piss them all off.
Yeah. And they're dressed the same.
Yeah.
They're in the exact same outfit. Oh, it made me happy. In
Or when she threw the birthday party for him at the million.
It was like millionth birthday shithead or something like that.
Yep.
Oh, so much fun. And like, but I think that too, where it's like you're taking such an unrealistic concept, but you're in realism. And I think the other thing that was stakes, the fact that you're still able to introduce stakes into such an unrealistic environment, like I feel like that's something you didn't have in Groundhog Day. Like Groundhog Day was Bill Murray versus himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're referencing that movie a lot, but that's because it's kind of like the archetype of this movie.
Yep.
Whereas even in Edge of Tomorrow had a little bit because Emily Blunt had that experience before. Like she knew what he was going through. And so this is the first time I've seen where you're having two characters go through it, because then the stakes are changed because you're able to grow and evolve and kind of have this relationship with that person.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing. It's a relationship between two characters as opposed to you as the audience viewing your relationship with one singular character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, yeah, there's more emotional stakes in this one. So, like, when the do split up in the second half, you're like, well, this sucks.
I think it was also, I mean, I understood I feel like this is a very purposeful like script and how it was written. Like I love like all the beats and where they did with them. I feel like it was extremely important for them to do that, to show where the characters go and how Niles kind of unraveled that. Like he really just wanted to share his life with someone, like, because I think you can even look at this as different points of their lives and how at the end you would say like pre-time loop, during time loop, post time loop, and post time loop, they're 100% on the same page. Where pre-time loop, Niles is like, he doesn't care about things. He's clearly there with a younger girl just because he's like shallow and vapid, just like she is.
Mm-hmm.
And then like in the time loop, he just loses all sense of self for a long time. And then once you get to Sarah, Sarah very much like didn't like where she was, didn't like who she was in the previous life. She gets in the time loop and she's like that to me. Once you realize when they show that emotional climax and like where she wakes up, it's like that. No wonder you have to get out of there. No wonder you're living. It's worse than like in real life where it's like, eventually like time heals all. Time can't heal all wounds if time doesn't move forward. Like,
Right.
what a wild concept. Like, that's such a cool twist. Like, you just take that phrase and undo it.
Right. And literally, she's facing one of maybe her worst, if not one of the worst things she's ever done, time and time and time again. Because like we've all done horrible things, and like you said, time heals all wounds. But in this case, no, you have to relive it every day.
Wound keeps opening.
Yeah, and even when she has like the perfect day, like when they do the shrooms, they see the dinosaurs, they make love legitimately for the first time. Like Niles is great. He's like, this is the best day ever. And she had it, but then she instantly wakes up with her biggest regret. And that is great writing.
It is. And especially because like you understand in that moment why Niles is like on a different level, why he's elated, why he's happy. And you also understand why she just can't fucking live with herself because she's just realized. You have to realize every day you wake up, in order to have a bigger mistake than that, you've got to have some pretty big fucking mistakes. I think you're safe to say that's the worst thing ever in somebody's life.
Well, also, she's also at least had time to get over the other stuff as opposed to this one where every day and, she's been here for years, decades, whatever you want to say at a time. She is still experiencing it.
Yeah, and again, like we said, that's good writing because you can't undo that once you're stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so interesting because this is like there are a lot of different layers. A lot of different angles you can look at this from. I feel like Roy is a good foil, but also a good antagonist just because if it's like the regular old Groundhog Day story, there really is no antagonist except it's himself. Like you'd be looking at all three of these characters in one individual, which is
Bill Murray.
Yeah, you choose not to watch Groundhog Day like that because it's not fun. It's not entertaining. So
I don't know. I watched it 24 hours in a row. Twice.
Did you? Did you do the free movies?
Yeah, I did.
Wow, you were a younger man.
I was. Yeah, I wasn't even in my 30s then. Ugh.
Oh my god. I considered doing it once. For those of you who were watching elsewhere, in Columbus, Ohio, there is a lovely, lovely, lovely locally owned theater called the Gateway Film Center. Eric?
Gateway Film Center. When we reopen, you motherfuckers better show up.
Okay. Gateway is not that aggressive, as evidenced by I think they only give you like vouchers now. Like they did a thing for a long time where they would air Groundhog Day for 24 hours straight a day.
On Groundhog's Day. So
on Groundhog Day.
That works out to watching it about 12 times in a row.
About 12 times in a row. And if you sat through all of them, initially at least, you got free movies for a year, which is
what it was is you got 2 free passes. You got 2 free movie passes. So 1 movie a month for a year. Or, if you want to spread, if you didn't have someone, it's easier to do because then you could do 2 movies for a month. But then, and that's how it was for the first 2 times I went. The first time I did it by myself, which sucked.
Yeah.
Second time I did it with writer cuddler extraordinaire Nathan Zobel and another friend, so that helped.
I'm sure it would. And I'm sure it's like, was it kind of like the scene in How I Met Your Mother with the tape deck being stuck on the Proclaimers 500 miles?
What it was is like, I'd say like for the first 3 viewings, like you're in it, you're like everyone's excited, and then like there's the 8 in a row where you feel that draw where like people are trying to sleep, because you can only sleep for so long because you have to get up, get your thing stamped, get back to your seat, stretch a little bit. But like towards like the last 4, that's like when the audience becomes alive, and especially the last viewing where like everyone's singing Sonny and Cher, everyone's doing Bing, everyone knows every line. We're cheering for Scooter the groundhog.
You were part of a moment.
I was twice.
There you go. So, but that being said, Palm Springs.
But so we're talking about. I was talking about the audience with that. Palm Springs is the first movie that I've watched since The Global Bastards happened, where I've actually missed being in an audience because I feel like I would have loved to have seen this in the theater with people. Because I feel like this would have been a great movie going experience, especially to see how other people react to it. And you know, sometimes when you go watch a movie, you feel there's a certain bond between you and the other viewers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I feel like this is the first movie that I saw during quarantine where I'm like, this would have been so much better with people.
It's interesting for me thinking about that just because I'm so used to most of the viewings that I was doing, especially for us, were like midday. So I got so used to seeing movies without they're movies without people anyway. So it was just kind of weird in that regard where I feel like it would have been a similar experience. The only difference, like we paused it because we had to pee or something like that.
That's gonna be so weird when we can finally go back to theater. Someone's going like, hey, can you pause this? I gotta pee.
You yell at the projectionist, hey,
can you rewind that?
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that on the other episode because that's going to be very curious going forward. But yeah, Palm Springs? Is there anything else we haven't thought of? Anything else we didn't touch that you want to mention?
The ending. So, do you think they make it or not?
As like out of the time loop or as a couple?
Out of the time loop, because I think they're going to be just fine as a couple.
Because
that just need the eternal hope, the eternal.
Well, they state that they're out of the time loop.
Well, I liked how. So here's what I loved. I loved how she's like probably the first character in a movie in a long time where she's like, you know what? I'm gonna go study the shit out of this subject and take full advantage. So if you go with the principle that they applied in Groundhog's Day, where it takes you 1,000 hours to become an expert on something,
I think it's 10,000.
10,000 hours. Mm-hmm. So she's been doing that for 10,000 straight days, driving out, going to that diner, studying quantum physics. And I liked how she interviewed the guy who Screen Junkies usually grabs to talk about. Yeah, because I was like, I remember him.
Nice.
He was like, no, you got it. But because I just love that ending where it's like, you know, they're in the safe house and it's applied that they're out, but then in the background you see the dinosaurs walking through again.
Oh, I didn't see the dinosaurs. No, because he even says, Niles says, well, I guess we know when they get home, November 10th. Like that they were just, so I guess it's more ambiguous than I thought because I didn't see the dinosaurs in was it in that shot or was it in that super big drone pullback where they're showing
super drone pullback?
Okay. That's my new thing is I'm watching everything I watch now. I'm just like, man, there's so many drone shots in everything.
So wait for the future, Dan.
Wave of the future.
Wave of the future from technology from 10 years ago. Future.
So
and then you get the nice little post-credit tag.
Yes, I thought that was good too with J.K. Simmons. Just like, and especially because like you'd think he would notice, but then again, you've been there for so long. You think he would notice that like he's back in his original position when they first met. Blah blah blah. So it's curious. It's interesting, and yeah, it's a lot of. I think that movie is just a lot of fun to discuss and talk about. Which is one of those things where it's like we're gonna have other movies we talk about in the other episode where it's gonna be like. It's a 2-3 minute discussion. Like you get what it is, you see what it is, but there's not like a lot to unpack.
Right, and that's why I specifically said after I watched it last night, like we're doing a rotten on this.
All the fists, because we have so many fists.
Yeah, because that's how I type. We're doing.
You just have a button. Your keyboard is as big as the wall, and you just punch keys. Rock'em sock'em, Eric.
Oh no, I forgot an extra L.
Backspace.
I have a giant keyboard but no mouse.
Better hope your scroll function keys work. Oh no. All right. Well, I think I'm good. That's Palm Springs. That's a little
grade it.
I'll give it an A.
Yeah.
Our content it's a weird I haven't thought until you just said that right there. I'm like, oh God, I haven't thought about grading anything else since we recorded.
I was gonna say this is probably easily gonna, depending on how the future of movies looks, this is easily gonna be in my top 10, top 5.
Yeah, who knows if we'll even make it to a top 10 if there's not
Right.
streaming lists.
I was gonna say yeah, because right now it's a top 3 for me. This, The Five Bloods, and Invisible Man.
See, I haven't seen 2 of the 3 of those, so can't weigh in there. But yeah, it'll be interesting because now we're gonna do rapid fire ones in the other episode, which will be fun. Yes.
Oh wait. I was hoping we were going to do Crossfire so I can get the old board game with the little foot.
I can do that note. I just have to be really loud, and I don't want to blow anyone's eardrums out.
I appreciate that. So
I used to be able to do it, but dude. So, clever Eric Muller is across the internet for me.
Across the internet for me is handsome Dan Nye.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all those fun things.
Punch those buttons.
We're doing more. Yeah, punch the buttons. We're doing more here. We've both been lucky enough to guest. Go check out the psych bracket we did because there was some madness and mayhem going on in that.
I was an agent of chaos, and
oh my god, so was I.
I doubt I'll ever come back. They'll ever invite me back. But
I'm doing a game night. But yeah, I'm doing that with those guys. I guess this coming weekend because it's Sunday. Time still has a weird perception for me. But yeah, so. Check
it's almost
us out
like you're living the same day every day.
Go follow the handsome_cheese.
Go follow all hi Dan.
And then we will talk to you next time. And as always, ramble on.
Eggers away.